Hello everyone, and welcome to the next edition of IBTM Meets, a series of interviews with leading figures and senior members of our industry. My name is Hannam, the IBTM Portfolio Director, and I'm delighted to be joined here today with Sven Bossu, the incoming and brand new CEO of AIPC. Welcome, Sven. It's absolutely brilliant to have you here. Thank you, as I say, for taking the time out. It's great to have you here and look forward to catching up this afternoon.
Thanks, Shane, and thanks for having me, actually. So, let's start.
No problem. Well, I've got a few questions. As I say, Sven, it's mainly an informal and bit of a chat about your career, views on the industry, and obviously now the very exciting new role that you've just undertaken. So if it's okay without further ado, I will jump into the first question.
Yes, please.
Brilliant. Okay, so I think maybe just kick off by telling us a little bit about yourself, Sven. Maybe your career to date and how you ended up where you are now at AIPC.
Yeah. So actually, I am an anthropologist and ended up in the financial world by accident, where I spent about 20 years, first as a program manager at ING, and after which I switched to SWIFT, which is the international telecommunication company, connecting 10,000 banks and corporates throughout the world. And there I worked for 10 years as well. The last 5 years actually leading Silos, which is Swift's flagship event, bringing together 8,000 bankers for 4 days. Now, after having spent 20 years working for financial services, I moved to the association world for 2 years working as managing director at Estro. And Estro is a completely different animal. It's the European Society for Radiation Oncology. And basically what they try to do is beat cancer. But at the time I started, a number of things needed to change. There was a need for a rebrand, a need for a new web platform, and also the need for the implementation of a CRM, so an entire change program, which we successfully did over the last 24 months, closed it. And then this wonderful opportunity arose to become indeed the first ever CEO of AIPC, which I gladly accepted. And then we had the beautiful thing of COVID-19 starting. So
Absolutely.
That changed things slightly in the sense that it's even more challenging now.
Indeed, it is. Wow, yeah, a fascinating journey through financial services and into the association world via two of the most incredible events in our industry. Quite frankly, I think you've probably seen both of those, of course, very closely, and it's it's great probably to have had that background initially, and then of course now coming into this role, which I'm sure when you accepted it was probably a big challenge, and then the dreaded COVID-19 of course happened, and I think now everybody is in a constant world of flux, of change, of uncertainty, and just trying to establish how we emerge from the crisis as an industry. I think I take heart from the fact that, as you know, being in this industry for so long, the one thing I do take heart from is its resilience, its desire to do what it needs to do to serve its economies and to be the successful industry it is. And I remain hopeful that we will all find a way through this together. So, yeah, challenging times ahead.
No, and I'm sure we will. And from an AIPC point of view, what we're trying to do is indeed support our community. So we've been now through the survival phase. I think everybody has gone through the phase where we try to rescue business, reschedule meetings. That has done now. And now it's far more focused on how can we safely and securely reopen and regain that customer trust. Because that's going to be the first thing. We need to ensure people that event venues, hand in hand and in partnership with the event organizers, can organize safe and secure events, which still offer great experiences.
Absolutely. And that's, coming at it from our perspective, of course, the brands that we're responsible for are the IBTM brands in terms of business events and the industry we serve. But in the wider Reed Exhibitions family, that's absolutely something that we're really focusing on, of course. And, there are many, many questions coming down internal in the business and also from our clients and everybody involved in the industry as to how we do that. I think there's no question that the desire to meet and to hold events is, will be as strong as it ever was. I think there is that acceptance, however, that we need to understand how we can do them, and first and foremost, safely for everybody concerned. So I think that dialogue is well and truly open, but it's certainly something that is probably going to take a bit of time to figure out. Again, some really good signs in the industry, though. If we look at certain countries, the way that events are classified, the way that some of our venues have really taken the mantle and really looked at the innovative way and the partnerships they need to do to be able to demonstrate that they're able to do that. I think that's also emerging now. I've seen a few things in terms of destinations as well. So, representing the convention centres and, of course, the rest of the industry. There are many good signs that's beginning to happen. So again, we remain very positive and hopeful on that.
Yeah.
So maybe let's sort of take it sort of maybe COVID aside, if we may, for a while. And
of course.
What was when you joined AIPC initially? What was it you were most looking forward to in this role?
To be honest, it's changing science in the sense that I've been a client for a long time, worked with a lot of venues, and venues have some great, brilliant people in there. AIPC is a great organization, though, as the world is changing, and not only due to the COVID thing, but in general, events are changing. More and more, we're moving into a hybrid model. There's going to be virtual aspects. Technology will be more important going forward. And so what I liked about this is that I could use all the tricks and tips that I learned from the other side, being a customer, and actually bring them to the side of the venues, and together with them think about new business models, new ways of reaching out to event organizers, and in a closer partnership, even more than that we did in the past. That was really attractive for me. And then, to be honest, the board we currently have is really eager for change. If it were to be a job whereby I said, you come on board, don't touch anything for the next 10 years, most probably I wouldn't have accepted. But here the mandate is, look at the AIPC, there's no taboos, move us forward and make us grow together as a community. And that's a really appealing thing.
Yes, definitely. And I think that change, you're right, was already in place. And I know AIPC is one of the more forward-thinking organisations. We've done a lot of work with your board in that regard. And, it definitely seems like that. Interesting as well, you mentioned two words there, partnership, collaboration and moving forward. Three phrases, sorry.
Yeah.
And I think they're probably more pertinent now than ever, for sure. In terms of, we started on a journey, but the road has changed somewhat. And now we have to go faster.
Yeah. But you mentioned that one of the things which came out is resilience out of our industry. I think to add to that, the other thing which we clearly see is an intense collaboration, not only between venues on sharing knowledge and best practices, but also if you look at the global associations, UFI, ICA, and ourselves, working together and trying to provide guidance to our members. So we created 3 guides, one on COVID-19 in general, one on how to transform your venue into a hospital, which happened to quite a lot of our members actually.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now the third one is going to be launched next week, is how to reopen a venue in a safe and secure way. And so instead of bombarding our members separately, what you see now is that on association level, we work together, become a unified voice, and we bring that to our members. I think that's something which is really appreciated by the members and by the industry as well. Not to be bombarded, but to have a unified message, a unified guideline, which then can be applied.
Absolutely, and I think that is what the industry is crying out for, quite frankly. And in these times of uncertainty, I think we're very unique as an industry as well, in the sense that we are very, very global in our nature. I mean, we all travel extensively when we're able. The business is a truly global business. And I think that makes it difficult sometimes to have a single voice and a single sort of recommendation of doing things, because of course, as an event organizer, I can speak for the fact that we are, we're UK based, but we run many events all over the world. And then you have potential conflict in government advice, for example. And so, if you can look to, associations like yourselves and UFI and ICA, to really give that guidance, I think due to the nature of the fact that we are not a fragmented geo-based industry, we are a global industry. I think that will only help. So yeah, that's really important, definitely. Okay, so we've talked a bit about that. Is there anything else, just in terms of what the future might look like for AIPC in the very few weeks that you've been involved?
Well, we actually had a board meeting last week where we went through a plan for the next 6 to 12 months what we're going to do from our side is launch 6 projects. We're going to have a look at the new business model for venues. I think we can't avoid that. That's something we need to look at. We're going to have a very good look at the membership offering. What do we offer today? What do we need to offer? What are the needs of our venues? And what do they need in terms of research and education? The other thing we do is we're going to do something fun, is create a Leaders Fit for Future group. And it's really looking at, okay, if you look at the future, what do you see? What is innovation? And not innovation only from a technological point of view, but also sustainability, CSR, all those things need to be looked at as well. Because at the end, and you know this far better than I do, events are part of a really big ecosystem with a massive impact on all levels on our society. And that's something we need to look at as well. So it's quite exciting what we got planned. It's an immense amount of work, but I'm really looking forward to doing it.
Yeah,
no, to your point,
sure.
if there's one industry where we can do it, it is this one.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I think I'm sure that we've had a few conversations. I've been talking to a lot of people recently, and the many quotes that you see whenever people are delivering webinars is that trying to find the opportunity that comes out of these challenging times. And I think it really is a great opportunity to reset. I think the one thing that I'm hopeful of, and I think will happen, is that our industry hopefully will begin to get the recognition it deserves as the legacy driver that it can be, as the sustainable angles that are available from events, the benefits of hosting and holding and managing and running events, and of course, the economic driver that a lot of events provide for industries to begin, in this instance, to re-emerge from a crisis and to really drive growth fast. So, but I think you're right. Sustainability, the way events look, and a consideration for the way that events come together, I think that will be the bit that probably changes. And it's not quite certain, of course, how it will be, but certainly I think it will change, and I think that's exciting. We just need to embrace that as an industry, and I think that's a really good thing.
But let's be clear, physical events will come back. There's no doubt about that.
100%. Yes.
It's simply going to look different, and that's great.
It will. Yes. And then we come back to that's how all of my conversations go, Sven. And then it comes back to the point of, okay, so how will they look? And of course, then we get to the answer, the questions that have no answers.
No, I think there's 2 things. I think they will come back, but protocol will be different. It's going to be a bit more difficult, I think, for event organizers to really create experiences. You'll need to be a bit more creative around that. And the other thing is that the hybrid element will be unavoidable. Yes, there will be physical and there will be virtual, but that also offers an opportunity. If I take the case of Estra, where I just came from, typically they have 6,500 people during their Congress.
Yes.
Imagine that you say, okay, the Congress is about networking and about sharing, but there's also a big educational part which we need to look after, right? Because it's about radiation oncology and cancer treatment.
Yeah.
So how about creating a virtual part that does not reach out to the 6,000 people who can afford it to be there, but that reaches out to the 50,000 people who need the education.
Absolutely.
And then you're into a different story altogether.
Yeah, you are. And we talk about how impactful events can be. That virtual opportunity for, certainly, as you say, people that aren't able to invest in that, but still need the access to the knowledge, particularly in the medical field. That's a great example. That can really drive things, and actually, can make a big difference to healthcare infrastructure, to the way that science is approached, and the way that people can move more quickly. To in this case, help stop cancer. So it's incredible. It really is. Great. Thank you for that, Sven. It's very, very insightful. And actually, in a world where we're surrounded by lots of negativity at times now, it fills me with a lot of positivity and confidence. So hopefully the people viewing this will share the same sentiment. We'll maybe change tack slightly now and come back to maybe you yourself. And, we talked about your journey briefly, but are there any top tips you have for somebody who's maybe about to or just started in a new role in a new organization?
Spend some time listening to people before you start doing things. It's what I did. I had the pleasure of talking to all my board members first, talking to our partners, talking to quite a set of members, and get a better understanding what they're looking for. And yes, that is an investment in time. And for somebody like me who is very impatient, it takes a bit of effort, but it is the thing to do. You can't barge into any organization without understanding not only the hard elements, like how many members do we have, or what's our P&L, etc. No, it's the soft things. What are the values of your association? Because that's the thing you're going to be building on. And that takes time. That's unavoidable.
Yes, it is. Really good advice, though, because I've actually had similar advice myself. And I think, if we look at, certainly from our perspective, the events, there's no physical, tangible product in an event per se. The value is in the knowledge, is in the connections, and it's in the community that brings it together. And so, I would imagine it's similar for yourself as well. That's really key. So taking that time is very worthwhile. Great, thank you for sharing that. And then maybe Sven, we're sort of running a bit short on time, so maybe one final question, if that's okay. In your mind, and given your vast experience across the globe and in many different sectors, what would you say are maybe the 3 or 4 traits that makes a good leader?
Empowerment. Trust your people. That's one. Have a clear view on where you want to end. So this is a starting point. This is where I want to go. But also be agile and nimble. Be able to move.
Now more so than ever.
Don't stick to the plan, because plans can fall into pieces, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely, sure. Okay, well, that's great. That I think is a good place for us to finish up. So Sven, thank you very much for taking the time out today. We've learned a lot about yourself and your background, and I think it certainly feels like there's no one better qualified to take AIPC into the next era. So congratulations again on the appointment, and we're very much looking forward to continuing our relationship with yourself and sort of moving forward as we navigate the future as one big, large industry. So thank you again for taking the time out. Stay safe, and I look forward to catching up with you at an event, hopefully very, very soon.